Good grief, every time you talk about content in a Call of Duty game, there's always that random kid that chimes in the conversation that just learned about the concept of quantity versus quality, and they always bring that up. Look, we don't have to have that discussion here. We all play Call of Duty, we've all played too much Call of Duty, we don't need to talk about the quality. Call of Duty is Call of Duty, and even through its massive changes, its formula is always recognizable. So instead of having this whole, well, I'd rather have a little of a really good thing than a lot of a bad thing, how about we ask for a solid amount of good stuff? How about we actually ask for stuff that makes sense? Because playing Let's Make a Deal when you're the customer putting your $60 or $70 down on the game, it just looks kind of pathetic from the outside. You know, like those people that defend Halo Infinite currently because it's free. You don't want to look like the leave the billion-dollar company alone guy, all right? I've looked like that. You don't want to look like that. Trust me. You don't want to look like that. So let's just say that Vanguard set a precedent. It's honestly one of Vanguard's best selling points is that it launched with 16 traditional multiplayer maps with 3 different combat pacing options, tactical, assault, and blitz. And those maps range from tiny to large to kind of huge, honestly. You have tiny, medium, large, huge maps. And there was a lot, and they added destructibility to a lot of them so you can bust out windows, knock down doors, take down whole walls on certain maps. And on top of that, a plethora of weapons that were heavily customizable, almost to a fault. And it really helped me realize that, hey, that's what I like the most. A lot of maps with a lot of variety between them, and a lot of weapons that are fun to customize. Apparently, that's how easy I am to please. It's been under my nose this whole time. Now we'll talk about create a class and quality and things I don't want to see in the next COD later, but let's just focus on how many traditional multiplayer maps we should have. Now, we have to take into account that they're probably going to have some novelty multiplayer modes. There's been talk of a attack and defend Rainbow Six Siege style mode. There's been talk of gunfight returning, of ground war returning, talk of an extraction royale style mode like from Tarkov. Okay, if that's true, let's take that into account and say that we're probably not going to get 16 traditional multiplayer maps on top of all that jazz. But should 16 be the standard? I have a little bit of a reason to say no. The reason I say no is that when Vanguard Season 1 came out, I still barely had any playtime in my favorite launch map, which was Bocage at the time. I really liked that map. And I barely got to play it because there's so much competition. Now, it goes without saying that I'm a big advocate for map voting, but that's a whole other topic. But either way, when you have too many maps at launch, it's easy for them to get kind of buried. And then by the time Season 1 comes out, it's sort of overwhelming, and it's sort of more on top of a lot, which isn't bad, but, you know, it's a little messy. And I think if you hit the sweet spot of map quantity, well, good, because then when Season 1 is about to come out, everyone's gonna be excited because they've actually played through all the launch maps extensively. I remember getting excited for Vanguard Season 1, but I also kind of remember feeling like, wow, I still haven't learned the launch maps yet, so that's weird, but okay. I think Modern Warfare 2 should launch with 12 maps. 8 brand new maps we've never seen before, and 4 remastered maps. 1 from COD 4, 1 from Modern Warfare 2, 1 from Modern Warfare 3, and 1 from Call of Duty Ghosts. Now you might say that's Black Ops 4 all over again, that's a bad idea, and you're an idiot, but hear me out here. The first thing they'd have to do for this to work is completely change the weather and vibe of these maps. Maybe not the locations, you could have the locations be the same, but changing the time of day and the weather in whatever new beautiful engine Infinity Ward's going to give us could breathe new life into the maps, adding some destructible and interactable environments on maps like Overgrown or Favela could be really cool. Like imagine a rainy favela with like a huge thunderstorm going on. Imagine a version of Warhawk at night with some fog around. They could do some really fun shit. I don't want them to just be remade, I want them to be remixed with new gimmicks and a whole new aesthetic. And the reason also for wanting 4 maps is so that they have time to focus on their new novelty modes and so that the next seasons of content could be completely new, so that we don't have remastered maps in Season 1 and 2. You could say less remastered maps, maybe like, 10 new maps, 2 remastered, and I would totally understand. But I like the blend of familiar and new that gives the developers a little bit of leeway while still giving us a ton of variety. But of course, with maps, you're never going to please anybody. You're never gonna make a map that's just perfect that everybody likes. I've met people that don't like Raid in Black Ops 2, and I really think that should put you on a list somewhere. But it goes to show that not every remade, brought back map is going to be a massive crowd pleaser. One of the things we can also talk about here is that if Modern Warfare 2 is the only mainline new Call of Duty game for the next 2 years, and maybe the year after is a free-to-play tie-in thing, or it's a remaster of some kind, then Modern Warfare 2 is essentially going to have 2 years of support. So whatever it launches with should be solid, I agree, but we do have a game that's going to be evolving for 2 years, which potentially could bring us like 10, 11 seasons of content. And I don't think we want a game that launches with like 20 maps and then gets, 1 map every season for 11 seasons until we have like 35 maps and you can barely ever find the one you want to play. I mean, unless Call of Duty is gonna have a really, really robust map voting system or server browser system, I think it's best to actually lay low a little bit at the beginning if the life cycle is gonna be that long. I don't want it to be like Battlefield 4, whereas like by the end of its life cycle, even though all the DLCs were made free for long periods of time, it became almost impossible to find matches on your favorite maps because everyone just ran servers on the fan favorite maps or the grindy maps like Metro or whatever. And I think that's, kind of a shame when developers put all that time in, but they end up oversaturating the game. A little side note here, I really hope that if Modern Warfare 2 has like a bunch of maps from the old Modern Warfare series and Call of Duty Ghosts or anything like that, I really hope that they have a dedicated, permanent 24/7 playlist of all of those old maps that just sits there, and you could just go and play old school, and you just go into those old maps, and I think that'd be kind of fun, because then they could maybe turn down the frequency of them showing up in normal playlists so that the game feels really fresh, but then you have a place to go if you want to be nostalgic, and I don't know, maybe my idea makes the game a little messier than it should be. Either how, we're never going to strike the perfect balance between remastered maps and old maps and new maps and reworked maps and map gimmicks and map size and map layout. We're never going to find the magic number, the magic formula that everybody appreciates wholeheartedly. A lot of people that say they love Modern Warfare 2 hate whenever Modern Warfare 2's map philosophy is brought into other Call of Duty games, so, it's really hard to nail down exactly what people want. But I think 12 maps is the magic number for Modern Warfare 2. Let me know, how many remastered maps do you want? Do you want any at all? What remastered maps would you want to see come back? And what new map gimmicks do you want to see? And if we can all remember that we are buying a $60 package that has a campaign, a third mode hopefully, and a multiplayer that has probably many different facets, let's just, go a little easy, because just demanding 25 maps at launch for a game that might have a 2-year life cycle is a little short-sighted. Anyway, I'll see you when I see you guys. Goodbye.